Stay tuned for part 2 of my interview with Clifton J. Johnson, talking all about the nuclear family, what keeps relationships and families together. This is where it gets juicy, and he talks about his view of the dynamics between men and women, the masculine and the feminine. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned. Welcome to the secret formula of femininity for women who want to live a more feminine, fun, and fabulous life. I'm Dr. Nicole Montero, your host on this weekly journey to unlocking your inner radiance, nurturing fulfilling relationships, and becoming the best version of yourself. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Nicole, your host and guide on this journey to tapping into your feminine essence. We left off part 1 of my interview with Clifton J. Johnson, talking all about what he believes are the responsibilities and duties of a man to protect women. And in part 2, he goes a little deeper into what these dynamics look like. He talks about not just leadership within a relationship dynamic, but also something called followship. Take a listen to how he views successful relationships and what are some of the red flags that both men and women need to look out for.
Why are you gonna have because a woman does not need to be out here with two leaders. So financially, you get your financial stuff up and you work, get yourself to a point to where you're bringing in an income for the family. You and your wife, y'all have a business because a marriage is a business, even though religious it's a union. But in our particular society, when you get married, technically you just enter into a 50-50 business.
Contract. Mm-hmm.
50-50 business that if you divorce, good luck. Good luck. So in a sense, what I'm saying is I believe and I tell men that based on how we are, we're not going to have to address what you say. We don't get into a mood to want to protect and want to provide. When a man decides that he wants to get on a knee and say, "Hey, I want to marry you," now he's asking for your hand in marriage. He's asking to replace your father as your protector, your provider. He is now taking that oath and he's coming. He's giving that handshake and having that conversation with her father, and he's talking to her. He's now bringing her into his home, and it's now his job and his responsibility to care for her. I will not let men. I just won't give them a pass.
So the idea that a woman has to do something is asking, it's like saying that someone has to do something to bring out what should be a natural instinct.
Yeah, that comes natural. It's like I was saying before. If I don't know you and I'm around you, and like I said, and somebody tries to harm you, men are naturally going to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, I've gotten to some pretty intense conversations where I think where the world is changing, where social media is changing. I read into your show, The Secret of Femininity. Now, what I've noticed, and this is me from my perception, so don't shoot me, y'all. Okay, don't shoot me. All right, because men, from the day they're born, we have to build our value. Okay, now I need to stay with me for a minute.
Okay,
Okay,
gonna go. We're gonna
we
follow
have
through.
to build our value. Right, in America, you're legal at age 18. So when a woman turns 18 years old, okay, she already has her value. She can step outside, young, nice, attractive young lady. A millionaire might meet her, take her on a yacht, take her wherever. Just that can happen. That can happen, right? Rihanna's not taking me on a yacht. She's just not gonna happen. Okay, she's just not gonna do it. Right. However, I build myself now. If I'm up here, Jay-Z status, all these other guys status, then the Rihannas of the world, the Beyonce, they see me.
Mm.
But someone's, and I've done pretty well for myself. She still don't see me. So men, we have to build our value, right? And so with a woman, when it goes back to what you said, what's going to put me in? Remember, you said put me in that particular. We're always in it. It's
Mm-hmm.
innate in us. Versus, and that's another thing that is caused some intense conversations I've had is that these are some privileges, right? People who are privileged do not see their privilege. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
when I have this
definitely.
conversation, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when I have this conversation, when I just said that you turn at 18 versus me turn, that is a privilege of a woman that is very controversial when I say these things. But What 18-year-old man and an 18-year-old woman, they're different. They're different. You can walk out there as an 18-year-old man, and now you know how you're old enough to get into a club. Ain't no man walking no club for free. A woman can get in the club for free, especially if they're very, very attractive. These are privileges that are not afforded to men. And so that's why when you said what put you in, no, we naturally are in that. Now, what I've noticed that has changed in the new world, I call it the new world. Jack's world is a new world out there. You now have a lot of men now. They've been raised and what the men removed from their life, that their thought process now has changed to where they'll, yeah, I'm going 50-50. I can't, it can't come out my mouth. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. But there are now different worlds changed where men really think like, hey, I'm gonna go 50-50. And she, like I said, if my wife gets up tomorrow and she wants to pay something, it's to me, she knows I take it as an insult. And it's not my ego, it's not any of the different terminologies that I've heard over the course of talking to people. It's no, it's a direct insult to my manhood. It's not like me saying I'm trying to control you. It's like, no, that's my job. I got you. What's
Mm-hmm.
mine? What's mine is what's mine. I always say, I don't say like people say, what's mine is mine. What's yours is mine. No, what's mine? It's my family's.
Mm-hmm.
What's hers? That's more for her and make sure our kids are good. It's like when I was raised, my mom she worked every now and then, but my dad did everything, and my mom she worked, but whatever she did was for her to go out there and hate to say it, my dad said you're not going to get this because you didn't earn it, right? Mom would take her money because she might have thought the dad was being too hard, and mom would do it on the low. We know
Okay.
that's what they do, but it's okay. So my particular way I feel as a man, I'm supposed to be the one that's out here stressing because if you're stressing as a woman, how can you be there for our children if you're so caught up stressing? You can't be your authentic self if you're stressing and you're trying to figure out how to provide for us. So now you have to jump into your masculinity, which is the opposite of femininity,
Mm-hmm.
in order to be able to provide that. And now if you're stuck in your masculinity, that's going to basically repel my masculinity. And now what does that do for our family?
You
So
have,
that's what
and the energies are off, and you are speaking to a point that I hear so many women say, which is, and I also hear you saying that somehow when the men say, I need you to bring out my masculinity, that's them being more in a feminine mode. And what that does is it puts the woman almost more in her masculine mode. So everything is reversed. And I hear a lot of women say that, everybody's complaining that I'm too masculine, but why am I like this? I was forced to be in this mode of either survival or providing or, doing it all alone. And that's the energy that it takes to be out in this world like this. And so maybe the question is what then brings out what should a man do to bring out the femininity in his woman? Or should that also just be innate and instinctual from your
so
perspective?
so for the man, this is where I'm very hard on us because I'm just very hard on men, to be honest. If you're gonna be a leader, then you gotta be understanding that when you're the leader, when things are good, you're gonna get your sometimes you get your praise, sometimes you're not gonna get your praise, right? When things are bad, oh, you better believe you're gonna wear all the blame as the male, right? So you as a man, if you're not properly vetting a woman, then before y'all get together, and Lord knows before you actually make her your spouse,
Mm.
then whatever comes with that particular relationship, as a man, you must take responsibility of a decision you made because we are the giver of relationships. Now, I have been argued into the ground about this particular subject when it comes to the men being the giver of relationships. I mean, I've had people
Tell us
really
what you
argue.
mean. What do they argue? Like what do you say and then what do people say?
So when I talk about in the what I call the secular world, if you take
Mhm.
religion out and you just talking about the secular world, right? What we go to straight like rules, regulations, right? So men, we can run around and say certain things, but men are physical creatures. We're very physical creatures, and we kind of do certain things. But women are the ones that are going to give you permission in order to get into a more of a sexual relationship. A woman is going to be the giver of sex, is what I preach to people, or I speak to people, and the man is going to be the giver of relationships, meaning that the man is the one that's supposed to get on his knee. and ask you to marry him. Man is the one that's going to decide to, this is, you know what, this girl, I like her, I care about her, she's gonna be my girlfriend, and then we're gonna date to, to be in a marriage. You see a lot of these social media sites, and you'll see people say they're dating with intention, and you'll see the different ladies, but it's like, you can date all day with intention, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the man is the one that's going to decide of whether or not relationship. But what happens is that is not the mindset of our particular society anymore. It is really a different society now, where it's like, no, I go back and forth with ladies all the time. I decide who relationship I be into. No, you don't. And it's an argument. So I stop arguing. It's okay, fine. Because the man's at the end of the day, he might tell you or make you feel like you're in a relationship with him, but okay. And it ends up not. So the man, that's why I say he's responsible, because if you get with a lady and you're vetting her and y'all are not in a relationship yet, but you're going to marry her. But before y'all get married, Lord knows, before you have a child, there's this thing called leadership, but there's also another form of leadership. It's called fellowship. It's actually a form of leadership. It's one of the leadership strategies, fellowship. You could be the greatest leader on the planet. You could be Barack Obama. Don't cancel me, y'all. I love Barack Obama, okay? President Barack Obama. If his amazing wife decides that I'm Michelle Obama, I'm the first lady, I'm a lawyer, I went to this school, I went to that school, and she's gonna not let that man lead. She's gonna fight every single thing he does. He's not gonna be successful. So if she decides that I'm not gonna let this man lead me, he can be the greatest leader on the planet. He's not gonna be able to lead her if she makes the decision. So what I tell guys is, if you get with a young lady and you like her, but every time you're doing something, you're trying to do something, she is causing, there's like tension, and she's arguing with you, or she's resisting, not a lot, just won't listen. And when I say listen, I'm not saying that he's your boss, so he got to do, but like y'all are constantly at each other back and forth. That is the signs that let you know she's not a wife. Walk away. Y'all need to sit down in church. Y'all need to talk to the pastor. Y'all need to see, y'all not aligned. But what happens is you stay because maybe you're attracted to her, maybe there's some other reason. Y'all get together and then things don't work out, and now there's blame. And so I tell the guy, you have to look and see if this person in the mindset to build that nuclear family. And if they're not, if you choose to stay there and then go there, you made that decision. Now you have to be held accountable because you just married somebody and had a child with somebody who they're not going to let you leave. Y'all going to consistently bump heads, and that's not going to work. It's not
So
going to work.
from your perspective, a red flag for a woman and a man is that he's not a man who is in touch with his natural duty to provide and protect, and he's not taking responsibility for that. And for the man, a red flag in a woman is that she is not able to practice fellowship.
100%. If she's not able to practice that, then it's not going to work. Because if you are going to, so when I say natural, right? What comes to us naturally, right? So even though me and you have different faiths, okay?
Mhm.
Let's get to you as a woman and me as a man. Are you attracted to a man that's weaker than you?
Me personally,
Yeah.
no.
Right. Are you attracted to a man? So are you attracted to a man that's smart?
Definitely.
Kind of physically has a broad build, physical build, more of a stature, right?
Mhm.
All right. So these are things that natural. All these things you just said. That is the natural that comes. It has nothing to do with your faith. It is you as a woman. That's a natural attraction that you have to a male. Okay. But also for him to have those things, that's his masculinity that you're attracted to, and being a strong male, because you look at that as a man that can provide for you. Everything you just said is providing, is protecting, right? If a man, if that's what you're attracted to, and that naturally comes to you, right? A man is the opposite. A man is not, how can I say it without offending people?
Just
If
say
you
it. You don't have to worry. Because I think it's so important to share your message undiluted.
it's what okay, so what I tell people is like, when you forget all the religion things and all that, I try to break everything down to, if we go back to caveman days and it's just man versus woman, right? Now we have all these laws and rules and everything that allow women to basically just demask, just take a man and just I mean, I've seen some things out here that's just like, wow. We are lucky we're in 2025, right? Where things have swung so far to the right that we really get into it. Like men realistically have less rights now today than women do. But they actually do. But that's a whole nother subject. But what I'm saying, men and women, right? To stay inside of those two things, masculinity and femininity. A man who naturally does not want to protect, when I tell women that I talk to, don't even waste your time. It comes natural. And his naturalness to want to be a provider, a protector, you're naturally attracted to that. Because if he doesn't have that, once y'all get into the relationship, you look at the stats, women on average, 88, I think the last time I checked, 88% of filed divorces are women. So we got 88% of women filed for divorces, leaving, stuff like that. Men naturally do not leave marriages. Even if we get into the, I've had, oh my God, they cheat. And men naturally do not leave. They don't leave. We love harder than women do. I get in arguments all the time that we do. Because a lot of times if y'all get bored quicker than men do, if you don't do whatever, it's things change. So based on what you said, we as men, when we naturally want to be a provider, protector, you naturally, taking away religion, you're attracted to that. Men are naturally attracted. Yes, we're going to see, physical things, but we are naturally attracted to a woman who, when we say femininity, a nurturer. You want to take care of me. You want to take care of my kid. That is the most attractive thing in the world to a man. Because what I try to explain, yes, women are, the attractiveness. Okay, I've been married for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is just as beautiful today as she was when she was, I don't know, 20 some years old.
Mm-hmm.
But we know stuff changes over years.
We age.
We age, but men and women age differently.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that I am more attractive now today than I was when I was playing Division I football with a six pack that you can wash your clothes with. But now I am a more established man. I have my financial everything is gone. So when women see me differently now than they did when I was a broke college student, because now I have the ability to just be like when they see me, they can see, oh, he got it going on. He's a provider. Versus when you're a broke college student, you just, you look nice, you got some nice little muscles, but it's that. But then once you get older, as I've gotten older, you see the difference versus our women as y'all get older. Men naturally look for a younger, more fit, more lady that's able to provide children, which is younger women. Then as you get older, yes, you still can. I'm not saying anything about older women. Y'all are attractive, but I'm just saying how we age differently. So
Mm-hmm.
in what you said, like men nowadays, men are, and it could be because I've been raised. They don't. It's now men are looking more naturally. Like, hey, I got one of my partners that I'm telling you, I've known him for a couple of years, but him and his particular, he has a girlfriend now, and but they argue over bills, and me and him have dropped down conversations about this. I do like I can't have you around me, man. I don't need that negative energy around me. And I can't believe that you're arguing about bills. Like, dude, pay the bills, but it's because he's not in a financial
Situation.
predicament. Yeah, he's not where he's supposed to be financially.
So does that make him feel emasculated?
It it,
He's
it does.
insecure.
It what happens is it does. What happens is because he's not financially where he needs to be, and because the lady that he's with, they have to kind of go back and forth between the bills. It what I see is she does not trust him to be a leader in that household because she has to get in her masculine to help out.
The
So now
hustle.
because she has to help out, she doesn't trust his decision making, and so now she wants to question what he does. And when you question a man, I'm just gonna be honest, like people say they want to say, men, we naturally
Those of you listening can't see. He sat up and he got right in the camera.
we no matter how much we love you, okay. Now I'm
Mhm.
talking about like love, like I love my wife, like she's the most important thing, regardless of whether that is my world, okay. Don't question my authority. I
It's
might not
about respect.
I might not say it to you right there, but when you question my authority, it lets me know you want to, and men who are listening, when a woman starts to question your authority, she's lost respect for you. And when a woman loses respect for a man, it is different. The relationship is over. A woman cannot love a man she does not respect. A man can love a woman that he does not respect.
What is the thing that he can know? So a woman, when she loses respect, she loses love for the man. In your view, what is the thing that a man, when he loses it, he no longer has that love for his wife or woman?
You asked me, what does a man do to lose respect for his wife or his woman?
What does she do? So when a woman stops respecting her man, she stops loving him.
Yeah. When
And
a
what
woman,
causes a man to stop loving a woman?
oof, oof, man, oof. Um, I've asked myself that question a lot. I'll get kicked out the club, to be honest, the man club, but outside of my wife being unfaithful and allow another man to go there with her, there's probably nothing she can do that will make me not love her. Um,
Why would
but
that kick you out of the Okay, go ahead. I was gonna say, why
yeah,
would that take kick you out of the men club?
I mean, because we're like a lot of times, we do things, but like we have our codes or whatever. But
Mhm.
I love my wife unconditionally. All right. I've always said, and I get into a real controversial conversation when I say men love conditionally, and I say men love condition. Like, wait a minute, men love unconditionally,
Mhm.
and I say women love conditionally, and it causes some very heated discussions. Some of the nighttime talk that we have because when I talk to some of the ladies and I say that I push a button. So what I say is, if we're out here, you with your man, and y'all are working, and y'all are married, and he's working, paying all the bills, right? And he loses his job. Before I can even get out, sometimes I get questioned, well, how long is he be unemployed? Like those questions come up. Remember I said earlier, the spouse comes, wakes up, and she don't want to do anything. She don't have to pay me anyway. I got everything. I don't I don't care what she does financially. I really don't. That it doesn't. If she's talking, I'm not even really hearing her. To be honest, I'm not. It's like it doesn't matter. They're good. The family's good. You're taken care of. Whatever she wants, she's gonna get. And if I can't get it, I'm gonna sit down there and do my whiteboard and figure a way to plan to increase my financial, means to get to where my spouse wants us to get to.
Mhm.
Right. If when I said I had this conversation, I said, but if a lady comes to her husband and she's like, "Oh, I lost my job," you know what he's not gonna say?
When are you getting another one?
We ain't getting another. So that's what. But I lose. So that those are conditions because, like you just said, remember what you said. What you're attracted to, because a man losing his job goes directly against your biological need for protection. You see
Well,
what I'm
it's
saying?
so interesting because, I'm a psychologist and I read a lot of research, listen to different researchers, and there's this whole field called evolutionary psychology where they
Mm-hmm.
look at kind of like the how the decisions we make now are tied back to evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the same things that you hear people arguing and talking about on social media. um, you know, Biologically, in a way, men are primed to look for fertility in youth. And they
Mm-hmm.
were talking about the whole hip to waist ratio. It doesn't matter the size, but there's a certain ratio where the waist being smaller than the hip, that across cultures and across time has nothing to do with the actual weight. It's the ratio that
That's a
that
ratio.
is considered attractive. And then
Mm-hmm.
also men, either through like whether it's physical strength, intellect, or even emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is a way of getting far in life.
Mm-hmm.
That those are attractive because I hear women say, I want a man who can communicate. And the way I interpret that is that also is a sign of his ambition, his masculinity, his ability to kind of move forward in life. So it's
Mm-hmm.
funny that, saying these things, is some people might say, oh, this is red pill talk or whatever. Um,
You trying to get me canceled?
But,
You know what?
I love listening to all views and the research on it. And
Mm-hmm.
when I look at the things when I look at the qualities that my husband has, there's a certain level of, when you have qualities, you're secure in yourself. And it's that security too that makes a woman feel safe. Like, even it's not about being out there with bows and arrows and like all this all the time physical. It's like the security that a man has in himself is also very comforting to a
Mhm.
woman.
It is. I agree. And when I'm talking to, like I said, the men that I talk with, and I say I like to hold them accountable, right? When you have that financial security, when you have the emotional intelligence, I think of what you were speaking on,
Mm.
the emotional intelligence, then you put out that energy, and the women are attracted to that. Because when a man is not secure in his financially, because the physical thing, honestly, our society now has changed, and as we come into this, technology, and where our society has changed, the physical piece, kind of, the laws have taken the physicality out of it, because now you can be physically superior, but you can't really use your physical
Mhm.
superiority, because there's a law with another male that has a gun and a badge is going to come and going to put you right where you don't want to be if you try to
Mhm.
inflict your physicality on somebody. So now you have to kind of more do it in the sense of your your financial security is what now gives you that protective ability. Now they still look for a man that has a male feature, whether it be hair, whether it be bra, because you still want to feel protected with your man. But when a man, a lot of times you see when males don't have the financial ability to do certain things, then what happens is the emotional intelligence level sometimes is not there, because you already know that you don't got a job, can't take care of this, you don't have your education. And I don't really tell, like I said, education is overrated, because you look at all your millionaires, stuff like that, some of them sitting on high school education, some of them sitting on, maybe they might have a bachelor's degree, but financial independence is where you're trying to get to, that financial stability. And when a lot of times men don't have that, especially when you look into a lot of domestic violence, I don't know how much you read into what you've been in
Right.
psychology, but you look into the best domestic violence studies, it is a lot of issues with finance that really is prevalent when you look into those studies of the domestic violence. And that at the end of the day, you don't have your money, you're not sitting where you're supposed to be. So now you're mad at yourself. And now you're what you're doing is your particular person that you're with becomes an emotional punching bag, and eventually they become a physical punching
You're
bag.
exerting your power because you can't exert it anywhere else. So you're, yeah, you look, we could go on for days because I think the what I get from your perspective and your experience, and even tying in your military and leadership experience, is that you look at family as not just what's making me happy and what's making me happy. It's a whole system that requires a structure, roles. It requires some rules to it. And in order to kind of rebuild the family, we have to get back to some of the rules. And I'm just reflecting back what I'm hearing you say. And it's like some of the rules have to do with what we desire and what our nature is as men and women.
Absolutely. And it's restoring, like I said, like we do this thing we call equality, right? I hear it all the time now. It's just like to the point to where it's honestly getting irritating, to be honest, because I tell people, when you go to work, like you're a doctor, so you're at the top 1% of education. You have a doctorate, whatever, right? So therefore, but you still go to work, or you work. So we have bosses. When I go into work, I was in the military. No matter how much rank I ever achieved, there was always somebody that was higher than me. There's always somebody that's has a little bit more control. But this, oh no, our relationships are equal. That is a lie that is causing the problem. There's you and your husband are married right now. I guarantee you, without one of y'all has stronger feelings than the other. Where the feelings lie, where the power lies. The person with the least feelings has more power over the other one, because there's certain things that the person who has the stronger feelings is just not going to do, because they're afraid of losing the other person. Sometimes we need fear, in a good way, not a bad way. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, we need to get back to that structure, because now everything is like, well, everything is equal. So y'all can sit there and argue over something as simple as, well, today we're going to drive this car. Maybe the other person don't want to argue. Now y'all arguing. There has to be someone to be like, look, babe, we're driving this car. Yeah, like whatever, your grievance is noted. But this we got to do, and the other person got to understand fellowship to where this is the head of the household, and that's what it is. Like, I'm not supposed to kids or whatever. I'm not gonna really get into that and argue with the kids because what mom says, hey, mom got this going on. The army sending me all over the world, mom. Well, one thing that in the household is like when dad speaks, it was this way in my mom in our house when I was growing up. Dad was a man of very few words. Mom was running everything. But when that man spoke, next thing my mom said, you heard what your dad said. It wasn't a but mom. And we used to try it. But mom, before we can get it out.
Before Stone Face Hush, you would say, look.
Look, you heard what your dad said. And if we but mom, then next thing you know, what your what your dad said. And that was respect that he got. But my mom, like I said, she trust me, my mom was the boss. Okay. Now my dad was at the end of the day, he was
A
at the top.
figurehead.
He was a figurehead. But god dang it, my mom, we feared our dad, but we knew mom was gonna get things. And we knew certain things we couldn't get through our dad. We knew how to go through either my mother or my sister, because women, y'all can shoot me tomorrow. You draw your power from the man in your life or men. Because at the end of the day, the men are the one that control the world. We can argue all day about the egalitarian society at the end of the day. But if all men got together tomorrow and some crazy stuff happened and we was like, forget it, we don't give a care, we're men, and this is how it's gonna be, good luck.
Now what
Nobody.
now what if all the women disappeared? What would happen?
Eventually, if all women disappeared, eventually society will cease to exist because men cannot reproduce without women. So eventually, you know, after these men all died out, if there are no women available, the society we would all die out. Human beings would cease to exist unless
AI comes in
we no, unless we evolved into some asexual type stuff. Unless we evolved, but
and
and that's why I say that like men and women, like I don't. I respect the difference between the two, and I think that getting back to the nuclear family will bring a lot of us back together, meaning both sexes. Well, that's another argument, but men and women. You still got to deal with today. Just men and women bring us back together, build the families together, and then get us back on the same page. Because now what I see in families, relationships breaking up because now the men and women are kind of fighting against each other almost for power. And it's like, no, we love each other. Let's build a family together. Let's live life together, and let's rebuild our society to where we can get away from all this crime, just all the poverty, everything we're going through. Let's start with rebuilding the nuclear family, putting morals and values back into the household, back into our citizens, regardless of how you want to live your life. Here's a set societal norms, and this is what we're going to do. And then I just think that that is the key to getting us back to a healthy, decent operating country. I think that that's the key.
wow, Jay, you have really dropped some gems. You have, I think, stirred the pot a little bit. I cannot wait for my audience to hear this. And I know you kept saying, don't cancel me, don't cancel me. But I think people are ready to hear viewpoints, whether they completely agree or not. I think people are ready to hear messages that are not watered down. So I really appreciate you sharing both your personal experience, but also your professional experience working with people over your long military career and your observations. And I think it's going to be really helpful. Audience members, please share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know. Let us know. I was gonna say corporal. Is officer, wait, what was your major? Is Major Johnson on the right track about how we need to understand our roles in order to restore the nuclear family? Um, or what are your thoughts? Is he going left? Is he going right? I really enjoy hearing these perspectives on relationships. And here's the thing that I have learned through doing this podcast is that the one theme that I see through all of it is interdependence. Whether I'm talking to another therapist, whether I'm talking to a woman, whether I'm talking to a man who's speaking as a married man, whether I'm talking to a single person, I hear that we all crave connection and interdependence. That we can't, like this whole scenario, if men were to disappear and if women were to disappear, it shows how much we need each other, how interdependent we are. So I just love like just listening to you, talking to you. I would say that I agree with about 90% of it. And I appreciate being able to talk candidly, though, about what we need to do to rebuild families, because I've yet to meet a person who says, I don't want a family in any form or form in of any kind. Like, I've yet to meet a person who is 100% okay with being totally isolated and alone, right? It doesn't mean that there aren't periods where maybe that's your season is to be single, but most people that I encounter, that I work with, that I talk to, and it's been thousands over the years, they want some form of connection. So I think we have to figure out how to do it. So I love talking to you, Jay. And this fits right in. We're in season 2 of the podcast, and it's really about next level femininity for women. And I think in order to achieve that, we have to understand the perspectives of men from all walks of life. And we have to understand how to communicate, how to like be in a shared space with men, and how to assume um the best of each other. Because I think that's what the thing that's disheartening to me is like we always assume the worst of the other gender, and like ever since I was younger, and I would hear arguments about men aren't this and women aren't this, and I'm just like, why are we assuming the worst of each other? So I just thank you so much, Jay, for being here. Are there any last words? Like if there's anybody that's discouraged, it's like, oh my God, there's all these rules and regulations, and I can't do it. Like if they're feeling discouraged about love, marriage, family, what would be something that you would tell that woman in particular?
So what I would tell if a young lady, if she had called me and she's actually married and she's thinking about, you know, sometimes you get those thoughts and I want to leave my marriage, I don't want to be a part of this. And I would kind of sit down and just kind of, first hear her out, listen to her, and then just remind her, just sit down yourself and ask yourself, why did I marry this person? Because a feeling is just that's what it is. You just feel this way right now. We control that. The feeling will pass. The duty will not. You made a commitment. You're married till death do you part. That's a duty. It's an everyday working duty that you have to wake up in the morning and aspire. I'm going to maintain my duty, this covenant that I made. And if you're thinking about leaving your marriage, I would sit down and just tell them, just kind of take some time out and think about it. Ask yourself why, and then kind of get to the point where I made this decision. And I am a supporter on marriage. I believe that no matter what it is, you can always, if you sit down and both of you all are willing to have a open, candid conversation, you love them, you can get through it, and it is worth it. It is the best for you, for your family. If there's any kids involved, like you owe that to yourself and your children and your spouse to work it out. So
Wow. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I wish you the best in your career endeavors and your political candidacy. I think you're such a clear communicator, and I really appreciated talking with you today. We are going to share Jay's World and how you can get in touch with him in the show notes, his website, and follow him if you want more insights. And don't forget, if you are a woman looking to elevate your self love and your capacity to be in a relationship, a healthy relationship, you want to get my book, The Boundaries to Bliss Blueprint for Women Who Are Finally Ready to Win at Love. The link is in the show notes, as well as other merch and my journal, downloadable journal that I have. You can get all of it because it's all about becoming your best self so that you can show up as your best self in your relationship. Take care, everybody. I'm Dr. Nicole.